Hello everyone and welcome back to East Tennessee. Today is Wednesday, August the 29th, 2018, and it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm going to go ahead and record this today and upload it tomorrow for Short Story Thursday. Get ready, millennials, for this one. I'm going to take you way back to the past, to the ancient days of the late 80s. This was back before even dial-up internet, when we were using computers that had no hard drive. You had to install the operating system every time you turned it on, and the most popular computers at the time were Tandys and Commodore 64s, Apples, and Apple compatibles, IBM computers. And if you don't know what any of these things are, just look at some of the retro video game channels. They'll show you in detail. But that is the day that this story takes place. And yes, this is another true story. I was not even 10 years old yet. Hadn't even hit the 2 digits, but by that point, my family had already put the love of wandering, the love of road trips in me, and every summer we had a big van, and we would all pile into it, and we would do barnstorming vacations. And that was before, you could just go to Google and plan your route. So we liked to be adventurous about it. We would just point ourselves in a certain direction. We had a destination in mind. This time it was Washington, D.C. But we were headed north, and we weren't sure exactly what we were going to find along the way, where we were going to sleep each night on the trip. But we would just all get into the van, get a bunch of food supplies, and if we got hungry, we would stop at a rest stop, and we would actually use those picnic tables. You've seen those picnic tables and wondered why they're there. Nobody ever uses them. We used them, as we didn't want to have to stop at restaurants and spend more money. We were on a budget. And if it got too dark and we needed to stop for the night, we started looking for those brown signs, the campsite signs, and we would stop and we would stay at campsites. We'd go out, jump in the lake, play on the playground, pile back into the van, and continue along the trip. So sometimes when we stopped at these rest stops, we would get flyers, and we'd find out about attractions that were happening in that city we were in around that time, and we would go see them. So on our trip to Washington, D.C., we stopped in Knoxville, a rest stop in Knoxville, and we found out that the Tennessee Valley Fair was going on. And it's appropriate that I would tell the story right now because that fair starts next week. And so that's kind of what brought this back to my mind. So we all went to the Tennessee Valley Fair on our way to D.C., and that night they were having a rodeo. And so we all watched the rodeo. I can still remember part of it. It was a very brutal rodeo, as they all are and should be. And so everybody started to leave, and our family had the habit of never getting into the mass exodus, going out of a stadium or amphitheater or anything. Instead, we would let people go pile up into lines, pushing each other out, and we would just wait in our seat, wait for the crowd to thin out, and then leave at our leisure. Well, this time, on our way out, being little kids, I think I was 8 or 9, we were looking around underneath the seats and the benches and the bleachers, and we found a switchblade. Yeah. It wasn't a really like the kind of switchblades that you see in those Yakuza type movies, the real fancy ones where you hit the button and it just pops out the top. This was the kind that you hit the button and it swings out. It was very cheaply made, and it was like the ones that, the novelty ones that have the comb that comes out. It was like that, but it was real. And so my dad just took it from us and put it in his pocket, and so we went on, we found a campsite, we stayed for the night, and then we made our way to Washington, D.C. We got a campsite there, and the next morning we decided to go in and start the tour of the many monuments and historical sites through Washington, D.C. And, oh yes, something else we were bringing along on the trip. We were bringing along a robin. Okay, let me remind you that when I was 7, 8 years old, that would put my younger brother even younger, maybe 6 years old. Then I had a little sister as well, and she was like 7. I had one older brother. We were all very young. Well, a few weeks before the trip, we had rescued a small robin from the cat. And this was, one of the deals where the mom thought it was old enough to fly, and it wasn't, and she had kicked it out of the nest. Maybe it wandered out of the nest, but its feathers definitely were not long enough for it to fly yet, and the cat had gotten hold of it. We rescued it, and Mom decided to continue feeding it until it was big enough to fly on its own, and then we were going to release it. And we named it Robin. I know, creative, right? We liked Batman. So before we went on the trip, my mom actually started calling the Humane Society and the Chattahoochee Nature Center and in places that were supposed to, specialize in this kind of thing, and was asking them, can you please take this bird? We've got it. It's used to being hand-fed now, but we're about to go on a trip. Can you please take this bird from us? Just feed it for a few more weeks until it can fly. And they kept saying no. They refused to take the bird from us. So Mom's like, okay, we'll just take him along. Or her. I guess it could have been a him or her. And so on the trip, every night, what we would do is we would get dog food and make it really soggy and then put it into a syringe and squirt it. It wasn't that hard. And the robin had gotten used to, every time we opened up its box, it would jump out and land on the top rim and be ready to be fed. And so that's what we were bringing along on this trip. In the van, 4 kids and a robin and Mom and a dad on our way to DC with a switchblade. This is where it gets interesting. One of the first things that we decided to do was go take the tour of Congress, or the White House, if you will. And so we parked the van, and we could not find a shady spot for the van. And we could not leave the robin in the van. So Mom was like, well, what are we going to do? This is our only chance to go see the Capitol. And so she just took the box with her. And the box wasn't very big. It was just a little box. And so she just took the box with her, and she's like, well, we'll just see if maybe we can get it through, and we'll just carry the box along with us. And so we got to the area where they do the whole magnetic wands, and you walk through that doorway thing that beeps if you got anything metal on you, the metal detector. And they wanted us to empty all of our pockets and see everything that we had. I mean, of course, this was going into the Capitol. That makes sense. So we did. My dad emptied his pockets. Now, mind you, this is on a trip where we would do camping. And camping was one of these deals where, you didn't worry a whole lot about changing clothes and stuff. I mean, it's camping. So he would just hang his pants up, and the next day he would put on fresh underwear, fresh socks, maybe a new undershirt, whatnot. But he'd put the same pants back on. And so he forgot that the switchblade was in his pocket. So he goes to emptying his pockets out, going into the Capitol for the walking tour, and out comes a switchblade. This really happened, guys. I promise you, this really happened. My dad pulled out a switchblade and put it on the little conveyor belt and was like, oh dear, what do I do? So, of course, that raised some eyebrows. They're like, okay, why does he have a switchblade? And then my mom has a box, and they wanted us to open the box. What is in the box? What's in the box? Well, there was a robin in the box. A robin that was too young to be able to fly on its own. And when the officials had us open the box, it popped out, landed on the rim, and it was ready to be fed. Just looking at us, and they're looking at the bird. She tried to explain to them, guys, the kids, there was all 4 of us there. They could see we're a little troop there. They rescued this bird from the cat, and we're trying to raise it up so that we can release it. And the Chattahoochee, she's explaining all of it. And yeah, I'm sure that these adults running the security sweep, they probably had kids and understood a little bit of where she was coming from. But they were just perplexed. So what do we do? What do we do? And they even tried to claim that Mom was doing something illegal because supposedly robins are on the endangered species list. I don't know where they were getting their information. Like I said, this is well before Google, and I don't know if they were just saying that as a way of intimidating her even more, but they actually said that. Robins are on the endangered. No, they are not on the freaking endangered species list. You see them all the time. And so, what do we do? They just had us kind of stand off to the side, Mom holding her box, the troop, all 6 of us, 4 of us less than 10 years old, just standing there against the wall, and they called for higher up officials, the managers, the ones that could make the important decisions, to come down from their office and decide what to do with us. And so this security guard that had the higher clearance and the more seniority and the grayer hair comes down from his office and looks at us. He's already heard the story. Dad's got a switchblade that he claims he found at a rodeo a day ago, and Mom's got a robin in a box that she's trying to raise up big enough to fly on its own so they can release it. And they got 4 kids. And he just looks at us. And he just says, y'all go. Y'all just get out of here. Y'all just leave. And so we did. We did not get to see the Capitol on that trip. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever taken a walking tour of the Capitol. But that was our first and only attempt to do so. And we were kicked out for good reason. And this was in the late 80s, like I said. If something like that happened today, that, I don't know, we would probably still be working through the legal ramifications from it even now, if that had happened today. Now, we ended up having a good time on that trip. We went and saw the Lincoln Memorial. We went up the Washington Monument. We saw the Liberty Bell. We didn't lick the Liberty Bell. We saw the Liberty Bell. We went to Plymouth Rock. We did Jamestown. We did the Smithsonian. Then we did the Air and Space Museum. We saw the changing of the guard. We had a wonderful time, but we did not get to go through the Capitol. So that's going to be it for Short Story Thursday for you guys today. Please don't forget to smash that like button if you like this. Please don't forget to leave comments, leave questions, leave suggestions. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that bell icon. Don't lick it. Share this vlog around. I love you all very much, and I will see you again on the next video.